boys and girls, ladies and germs, everybody in Facebook land. This is your roving realtor, bon vivant, jazz aficionado, with a very special guest today, and it is Chef Quentin Garcia from the Blue Note. How you doing, Chef?
Fantastic.
Very good. Are you off today?
Yeah, from feeding people today, but not from office work.
Okay.
Never
Inventory and all that stuff.
all that fun jazz. Looking over menus,
Very good.
beating myself up.
So let's get down to brass tacks, talking about the food scene at the Blue Note. First of all, do you ever serve breakfast or brunch?
Not anymore. We did, and we found out that it was really just either drastically a hit or drastically a miss. So it was most of it fell on me. You know, I was the only one doing all the prep for it and stuff like that. And the people that would come here were fantastic. I mean, if they were here, they ate. They didn't just have a snack; they ate a full meal, which was great. But on the days when we only had 10 people, it was a little miserable. So we don't do it consistently, but. In the future, we'll have a few, early shows and probably have a few little brunch specials.
If I remember correctly, you did maybe a New Year's Day brunch with Kenny G or something like that?
Yeah, we did. That was last year.
That was big, right?
That was really big. That was very big.
Okay, good. Well, we'll have to work on that. And I don't imagine you're ever doing lunch over here, correct?
No.
Okay.
No
Okay.
lunch.
But you probably are available for private parties.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll cater. Mm-hmm. And what's the capacity? 125 here?
For downstairs, we can do 150 to 200.
Oh.
But, I mean, I've done parties here for up to around 400 people.
Holy Toledo. Kind of stand-up cocktail party?
Yeah, 400 people upstairs. Well, I've been serving a restaurant downstairs, so...
Oh, my God. So
Yeah.
let me get this straight. You got 125 jazz aficionados downstairs.
Yeah.
And maybe you got 400 people up at the Jam Ballroom upstairs.
Partying, drunk, having a good old time.
Oh,
eating
my God.
Oysters, appetizers.
Oh, my God.
great.
Now, I want everybody to understand that Chef Q is only 17 years old, but that kind of a routine has aged him. Oh, my God. How many guys do you have in the kitchen?
Normally, I'd have only 2 guys back there with me, 1 dishwasher, and we can crank out a 300-person sold-out night.
That is one very productive kitchen. I think I'm going to stay in real estate.
Yeah, whip them into shape.
That's right. That's right. The beatings will continue until morale improves. Okay, so let's get. Oh, my cugino Mauro from Junior is watching from Naples, Italy. He is a fantastic chef.
Okay, I don't know if I can beat him.
I'm sure you guys can go toe-to-toe with each other. He is, I remember when he started, he was in my cousin Giannino's restaurant in Caserta, about an hour and a half south of Rome, a half hour north of Naples, and now he has his own restaurant over there, and he has fed me many times, and he is a very dear cousin. Hi, Tom. How are you doing? Let me know if you got any good financing for ADUs. We've got Tom Huntley watching, so he's over in Santa Rosa, by the way. So let's talk about the dinner menu. So let's start with the early show. Being a New Yorker, I'm a night bird. Things don't start until 11 o'clock. But there are certain advantages to going to the early show, I think. From your perspective, when do you start serving dinner at the early show?
It really depends on the night. So Wednesdays, Thursdays sometimes we'll start dinner at 6. Doors will open, people will start to flood in. But on the bigger nights, Friday, Saturday, even sometimes Sunday, we'll open doors up at 5 p.m. So
5 o'clock seating, and the kitchen's open at 5 o'clock. And usually the show starts at 6:30.
Yeah, 6:30.
Okay. Now, I have been buying more of the early shows because I can get here at 5 o'clock. There's usually not a big line at 5 o'clock. You get your run of the seats, and then you can have a leisurely dinner before the show starts at 6:30. So I'm kind of liking that. Now let's talk a little bit about the seating arrangements for those people that come in for early. Now, what do they call the premium seating out in front? Royal Blue, or is that it?
I believe it's Royal Blue.
Royal Blue. And I like that. You know, I like to be within spitting distance of the main singer. I usually am right in front of the mic.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
First seat, first row.
Right there.
First seat, first row. Yeah, that's me. And then my second favorite is the booths. What do we have? 2 6 tops and 3 4 tops.
I believe the rest are 4 tops.
Yeah. And then my next favorite seating is sitting at the counter opposite the bar.
Okay.
And because you're up. You're at the eye level with the stage more or less. And then, of course, you can always sit at the bar and flip the stool around and watch the show. And then the side seating can be okay. It's my least favorite, but the venue's only 125 people.
Yeah.
There's no bad seats in the house. And if I'm going to take the side seating, I actually like the 2 tops on either side of the stage. They're kind of interesting.
Look at those spots.
Yeah, they're right there.
Okay.
Yeah, they're right there. It's kind of nice. You could be sitting right next to Keiko Matsui when she's playing piano.
Oh, I love her when she comes down.
Oh, yeah.
She's fantastic. I always make sure to take a night off in the kitchen and watch her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she always has excellent boots on. And, her favorite color is black.
Mm-hmm. Always, every time.
And we've been watching her for about 30 years. As a matter of fact, Ellen and I, over the course of our courtship and marriage, which started, believe it or not, in December of 1969. Could you imagine that?
1969. Wow,
That's right.
I wasn't even a thought.
That's right. And the reason we have lasted that long is because I am so easy to live with, of course. But in that,
And you cook.
I do cook.
Did you start cooking immediately, or were you cooking a little bit later?
I started cooking when I started hanging out with my cousin Giannino Pinto in Caserta and Mauro, the chef that is watching. And my cugino, Giannino, said, you go out to restaurants too much when he came to visit me. Mm-hmm. So I started cooking, and all of a sudden, everything that my mother and father did just flooded back. I remembered what they bought, what it smelled like, what it looked like, how long it took to cook. And I started cooking, and it was a nice artistic outlet.
It's extremely satisfying.
Yeah. So we've watched about 500 live shows, a lot down in Saratoga at Paul Masson or Montalvo. And over here, we've seen Larry Carlton, who's coming this Saturday.
Yeah.
I think he's doing 2 shows. He's doing the Crusaders, and he's doing Steely Dan. So who knows? Maybe Donald Fagen will show up and surprise us all. I've seen Rick Braun here, Chris Bodie, the Rippingtons.
You've seen everyone who has a big name here. You've seen them.
Bob James, indeed. So let's talk about the dinner menu. What are you making for appetizers? What do you like to make for appetizers? What's a big seller for appetizers for the dinner menu?
I would say what I like to make, at least for myself, and when I cook for friends, is very different from what I make here. I think here, what I need to do is find a balance of feeding people, but also not trying to take over the show. People come here primarily to see a jazz artist, to sit here and enjoy a show. And at first, it was tricky because I was trying to do really interesting things, really complex dishes that were, in the end, tasty and really delicious and that looked beautiful. It's just not what Blue Note is. So, without stealing the show, what I try to do is make appetizers that are familiar to people, and without putting really any ego into it. So, for instance, when I'm at a place, if I'm just like at a sports bar watching a game or watching a show, one of the things I always look for is nachos. Always. So I put nachos on the menu, but I figured, how can I make it basically good enough for someone like me that came in, a bit of a food snob.
Yeah.
So I make everything from scratch. We hand press the tortillas, we fry those off, cook those off, all from scratch every single day. We braise the short rib in braised red wine, and we smoke them as well. and we toss them in a little bit of lacquer of thyme jus. The nacho cheese, we make that all from our own grated cheddar. We cook that all ourselves. Nothing's from a can, nothing. So it's all very much an effort of love into our nachos. And because of that, we sell a lot of them, and we've gotten a lot of requests not to take them off. So things that are comfortable and homey to people that they recognize without sort of going off on my chef training and doing something completely unique and artistic.
I am going to take it upon myself to make sure that Chef Q in the kitchen is not a poor stepchild at the Blue Note Napa to the Jazz. We're going to put you on an even keel.
Oh, okay.
And
our
viewers are going to help you do that. So we talked about some of your favorite appetizers. Talk a little bit about what you call your headliners. What's your favorite headliner? What's the most popular headliner? The entrees.
You know, it's really a hard hitter between. I would say the filet mignon, just because people recognize filet immediately. But here, it's a pretty even mix of the filet, the fish, and the chicken. And I would say probably more so the chicken and the fish. And the chicken's a fairly French interpretation of chickens, just pan-seared, time-basted, served with a really rich cauliflower cream and puree, and then really thick smoked bacon lardons, turnips, and some Brussels with some sweated down garlic and shallots, thyme. That's all deglazed and a little bit of red wine, finished with butter, all put on top, and that just flies.
You know, I think you are trying to take over from the Jazz.
I'm not. That one's actually that one's super simple. People love it, and I love it too. If I'm looking for something quick, I make that for myself, and I feel sinfully delicious.
So all us home chefs are always trying not to screw up filet mignon or a steak. Mm-hmm. So could you give us your secrets, which may not be so secret, on the proper way of prepping a filet? Let's focus on that.
I'd say it's pretty easy if you're a cook like yourself, it's almost second nature. But if you're at home trying to impress the husband or trying to impress the girlfriend or trying to impress whoever you want to impress, salt, pepper, and then if you have a grill, charcoal grill preferably. That's what my newfound love is in the kitchen, my charcoal grill. Let it on there, get some caramelization on it, flip it on the other side, get some nice color. And you can either choose to finish it on the grill on the lower side of heat, or put in the oven around 350, let it sit in there for maybe 6 minutes to 7 minutes, no fan, and then let it rest. It'll still be wonderfully tender and a nice, perfect medium rare, which is my favorite. I love medium rare when it's still nice and pink all the way throughout.
So what do you go, internal temperature 125?
Honestly, I don't go by internal temperature.
You just go by feel.
I've cooked so many steaks and pieces of meat in my career that I can just do the little bouncy test.
Oh, okay, good. And what's the seafood that seems to be most popular here?
Black cod.
And how do you prepare that?
So I mix that in a little bit of a marinade with miso, soy, and mirin, and let that sit together with some ginger. Once that marinade's in there, I take it out and I bake it at around 450 degrees for 6 minutes. It's a pretty decent chunk of fish. But what that does is it starts to caramelize the sugars on the outside of the marinade, getting the fish a beautiful amber color. And once you pull it out, you barely touch it with the fork, and it beautifully slides off. It's still like wisping moisture. So to me, that's a really delicate way of cooking the fish. It's really easy for my cooks, and it's also it's very buttery, very luxurious texture when you eat it. That gets served with white truffle risotto. Thai curry broth, some glazed edamame, and then some ginger sauteed heirloom carrots and some bok choy.
Yet again, I do think you are trying to take over from the jazz scene here. I think you're
a little bit secretly.
That sounds pretty fancy. That sounds pretty fancy pants. Now, when I'm interviewing roasters, I see them at the Napa Farmers Market. And I noticed that 40 to 50% of the people are asking for dairy-free. People are going plant-based. Mm-hmm. So what percentage of your customers are asking for plant-based, and how are you accommodating that? What are you providing?
Less than 3%.
Really? That's a shock.
It shocked me too. I was a little bit more ready for it, but people, if anything, will call in advance, say if they're vegan. But it's extremely rare that we have anybody that wants something prepared that's strictly just plant-based, like a burger or something like that, or expecting something of the impossible variety.
Oh, Impossible Burger, Beyond Burger.
Stuff like that. But usually I don't have too much worry about it. If someone asks for something vegan or doesn't like what I have on the menu, I always accompany what they want to their needs, and not just a side of sautéed vegetables. I think that's really boring and poor to serve to a vegan.
Well, you got the wild mushroom stuffed agnolotti and the risotto, the mushroom risotto.
I do that, yeah. So I do a version of the risotto, and I work in partnership with Saint Cyprien Garden. So I get a lot of their seasonal vegetables from their gardener there, Bree Hoover, who makes some amazing vegetables, some of the best I've tasted while I've been out here in Napa. And then when I get stuff from her, I'll get like a bin of little goodies, play around with it. Either I'll poach stuff, glaze stuff, do whatever, and I'll put it either in the risotto or really delicious pasta for him. And haven't gotten a complaint since.
Very good. So tell us about your sweets, your dessert offerings.
My dessert offerings, those change. I think those are probably the most easiest things that I have on the menu. Probably my favorite, even though the chocolate lava cake is, I think, too easy. You see it everywhere. Is the bread pudding. Mm-hmm. I've never really been a fan of bread pudding. I think I don't know. It's very, very common for me. So I wanted to make one that I would like and I would eat. So I take wonderful pieces of brioche, a little bit of sourdough baguette, and pain de mie loaves. This is all from Model Bakery, and I let that sit in a mixture after I've torn it apart. Of some egg yolk, a lot of whiskey, and some cinnamon, allspice, a whole bunch of really wonderful spices, and some sugar and honey. And I let that sit for about 12 hours, and it's almost completely saturated. It's like bread soup at that point. I'll pop it in the oven about 350 for 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Take that out, and the top is completely nice and crusted over, but the inside is still very soft and moist. I'll pop it on a cutting board, cut it into bars, and then I'll serve that by throwing it in the oven at around 500 degrees for only just 3 to 4 minutes. Get a little bit more crispy on the outside, still soft and perfect on the inside, and still moist on the inside. Caramelize some white chocolate, put that on top, and then I make a pine nut caramel and put that over it with a vanilla gelato. Delicious.
I think that's illegal in 4 southern states.
I would hope so. That's a compliment.
Oh my God,
it's amazing.
Love that one. That sounds incredible. Now that was a lot to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that can you make in advance? I mean, how much of it can you make in advance before you do the final prep?
Almost everything.
Almost everything.
I'll probably on busy weekends. I'll do that maybe a day before the show, and it'll all be ready. So the day of, it's just we're basically portioning it.
Wow. Do you have a favorite thing to pair with that? Coffee, tea, Moscato, Madeira, port?
I love coffee. Coffee with any dessert is my favorite thing.
Do you guys do French press here? Or?
We do.
Oh, you do French press?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, whose beans are you using?
Lavazza.
The Italians.
Yeah,
nice.
They love us.
Oh, nice. So, what would you like to impart to the viewing and eating public about what they should know about coming to the Blue Note, not only for jazz, but for food?
First and foremost, we have food. We still get some people that actually come in and are surprised that we have a menu. And maybe that was because, I think, it wasn't Silos, was it? Silos, one of the venues here doesn't offer food. Is it Uptown?
Uptown, Silos, he had a relationship with Marco from Pasta Prego, and they were doing some minor things in the kitchen, but I don't think they really ever got that off the ground. And the Uptown, which is another one of my favorite music venues, has had on and off a little cafe, but
nothing like this.
No.
I feel like that's where a lot of people get confused. Is it's not something they expect is to be able to sit down and have a full 3-course meal. So that's what we have. We have something for everyone. If you want to come in and just snack on a locals night or even on an expensive night, we have stuff that won't break the bank. Or even if you want to come in here, we're still going to break your bank. But if you want a filet mignon with a wonderful set, all prime stuff, because you have a chef that is trained from Michelin star kitchens, I love good food, then I can feed you that without, going over the top and doing stuff that you wouldn't recognize. So next time for your favorite show, or whenever you come in, maybe come a little bit hungry, try something out, pair it with your favorite drink, and you'll probably have a better time than you have been doing.
Oh, good. Well, you mentioned the Michelin-trained chef. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into being a chef, where you trained, where you've cooked, any interesting experiences with the celebrities that you have engaged?
Man, I started cooking illegally in kitchens at 11 years old, in professional kitchens.
Child labor laws.
Yeah, those. I remember whenever we get an inspection come in, they would always overreact and they'd hide me in chef's office because health inspector, even though he couldn't really do anything. At that point in time, I don't know if they really could do anything, or maybe they could notify a labor board that there was some kid in chef whites in the kitchen. So they always had me in chef's office, aggressively yelling at me like it was my fault I was working there. But I would say when I feel I really started to learn how to cook when I was in Laguna Beach, when I moved up to Orange County.
Oh, nice burg.
Yeah, I love Laguna Beach, but I moved up to Orange County. I got a free ride to school. I won a couple scholarships in high school, and then decided just for my parents, they wanted me to go to school, so I also got another scholarship from the school, which I totally forgot about that scholarship.
This was culinary school?
This was culinary school, yeah. Went there, wasn't a fan of it because a lot of the kids there, they're just starting to cook, and at that point in time, I was cooking for I was cooking for about 7 years at that point, so I've already been in restaurants and been on the line, and I was learning a whole bunch of tips and tricks. That basically what they teach you in culinary school. I just had the experience of it, so I got along with the teachers well. I was helping them out a lot, doing some R&D, and I figured from that point, after I was cooking at some great restaurants up there, and probably the most famous restaurant I worked for in Laguna Beach was either Carlos Salgado of Talca Maria. He received his first Michelin star the first time that Michelin came back to LA for doing Mexican food, and he absolutely deserves it. He came from a taco truck. Totally different story. I could talk for years about that man. He's amazing. But as far as a chef who's focused on his celebrity aspect was Amar Santana, who was on Top Chef only a couple seasons ago, and he got second place. But that man can cook anything. So he really taught me how to take ingredients, commodity or luxury, and turn them into just something spectacular that sounds sexy and that tastes amazing, combined with Mediterranean influences. So he took my cooking ability and he just unlocked it and let it explode. So once I worked for him, I went to Denmark. I went to Denmark and wanted to see what was going on there up in Noma. Noma was taking the world's best restaurant by storm. They won it, I think, 4 years in a row by that point, so I really wanted to see what was going on. So I worked for a bunch of places up there, but I resided at Dragsholmslot, which was it's now a Michelin star kitchen run by Chef Klaus Henriksen. And again, we'd go out foraging every single day, form up a 7-course menu in a beautiful kitchen, doing 70 guests max. And it was probably the best cooking experience I've had in my entire career. I mean, I could go completely vegan there and still find everything delicious.
Wow.
And unlike any kitchen culture I've been in, you still get 3 breaks a day, no matter how busy it was. In the morning, we would do production and then take about 15 minutes. Everyone have a little piece of cake, have a pastry, relax, have some coffee, have lunch, and then we'd also have a staff dinner. I've never worked in any kitchen that was so structured and well organized, regardless of how busy it was, that we could all take a break together, the entire kitchen staff.
Are they still in business?
They're still in business, and they're actually doing better than ever.
What is the name of that restaurant?
Dragsholmslot. I'm saying it completely wrong because you say it in Danish a totally different way, which I'm not going to massacre.
Yeah.
But Dragsholmslot, and they've... If I'm correct, I think they got the best foodie rated hotel in Denmark. It's an incredible program they have there.
Well, did you happen to have any escapades with any sword maidens while you were there?
That will remain untalked about.
What happens in Denmark stays in Denmark.
No, it stays there.
Very good, very good. Well, let me just give a couple of remarks about the Blue Note from my perspective. First of all, if you are coming up to Napa, you absolutely need to check the website for the Blue Note. Make sure you're going into the proper website, buying your tickets from the right website. You don't want to be going into one of those counterfeit websites. I personally think it's a great way to have an early evening or a late evening. There's always top name entertainment. The Blue Note, the Uptown, the Culinary Institute are three of my favorites, as is the Napa Distillery and Inglenook, and of course the Napa Farmers Market. I think I could just be in my kitchen, be on my deck, and rotate between those 6 venues, and I'm good. I don't need to go anyplace else. I don't need to go anyplace else. Can the viewers find you on Facebook, Quentin?
They can find me on Facebook, Instagram. Instagram is probably where I post more often than anything. Facebook, yeah, I think I just use Facebook to sort of get in touch with old friends, but Instagram is pretty much the persona where I post up all pictures of food, any research, something like that. That's where it'll be.
And what is your handle on Instagram?
Q Reese Garcia.
Q?
Reese.
Reese. Mm-hmm. R?
Reece Garcia.
Okay. And Facebook?
Facebook, just Quentin Garcia. Try to find, there's an ocean of Quentin Garcias, but only one in a Chef Go with the black and white photo.
There you go. There you go. Chef Q and I like to hang out together. Unfortunately, today we're not going to be drinking Cabernet Sauvignon up at Inglenook, but that day will come. And again, if you need to contact me, you can reach me at 408-829-4141 or email me at johnpinto@jvpinto.com. And as much as I love cooking and jazz and living la dolce vita and being a bon vivant, I make my living by helping over 4,000 clients buy, sell, and exchange real estate in the greater Bay Area. So if you need to do any of that, contact me, and we'll have you settled in your new place by Easter at the very latest. Very good. Thank you very much for being our guest today, Quentin.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again soon.
Oh, yeah.